All right, folks, according to JP Morgan, retail investors' influence over the stock market is in decline as growth name tumble and meme stocks mania fades. We're going to highlight and focus on the meme stock mania play here. Why? Because it's really interesting to actually get into the reasons why they believe pretty much per se the squeeze is never going to happen again. I'm kind of paraphrasing here in a kind of a simple, basic term, but they pretty much say that retail it's now trading fewer stocks, but they're still putting money into equity funds. So it is not as if the retail influence it's diminishing. As a matter of fact, there's been a shift into where the money is being allocated, but there's a pretty substantial reason behind it. So they're saying retail investor influence over the stock market is declining as they ditch trading individual stocks and risky options in favor of more traditional equity funds. The bank found that Robinhood's share of stock market transactions in December fell to levels not seen since before the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, I mean, is it a surprise? Is it a surprise when you look at stock like AMC or you look at, any other stock in the market, whether it's a meme stock, whether it's a growth stock, whether it's a Wall Street bet mentioned stock? Usually the market makers will do everything in their power excuse me, to make sure that bunch of options that are already in the money kind of already go worthless by the time we get to the expiration date. So it's such techniques that are kind of disappointing and pushing retail investors into avoiding their money to be wasted and lost completely by playing options, because this is a highly manipulated sector into this market. Now, moving on to what they actually have to say. The decline comes after a year-long boom as people flocked to the stock market as a form of entertainment while coronavirus lockdown put sports and other activities on hold. A frenzy in meme stocks like GameStop and AMC Entertainment also added fuel to the retail trading fire. It is true. It is true that we have some people that used to trade or discovered trading because they were sitting at home doing nothing. But at the same time, now that people are going back to work or are already going back to work, it is kind of logical that, they don't have time enough to trade because of their 9 to 5 per se. But it doesn't mean that the money isn't still flowing into these two stocks in particular, because by looking at the buy to sell ratio, it is still true that AMC is still heavily bought and heavily held, or held, whatever you want to call it, by retail investors on top of institutional investors. So what is really interesting here at the bottom line is after they say, that we are not and I think the meme stock is fading. Well, I guess, is it a strategy to actually get as much shares as possible while you prevent other both retail and individual investors getting as much shares on their end, because you are kind of preparing yourself? I guess when you look at the 13F filing, which gives you an insight and a detail on how many shares you actually have as a new position. So looking by this 13F filing dated February 10, that will be today. All right. We can see that JP Morgan Chase, who is the same bank who actually wrote this article. All right. If the meme stocks were kind of, fading, why will you still hold 1.6 million shares of AMC? Plus, on top of that, 160,000 call options and kind of hedging yourself towards, 12,000 put options. I guess you're playing both sides, which I understand, but by looking at the parity, how many bullish shares plus options you have versus how many put options, which are kind of, bearish, I would consider this to be a hedge. Pretty much you're playing both sides, but you're majorly bullish given the amount of shares that you are holding. Is it a coincidence? No. Maybe my take on this is, well, because you know what is coming here for AMC, you actually want to get as much shares as possible. And in the process, by putting some articles like this, it doesn't give incentive into other people who never heard about AMC that are actually, be interested into owning anything, because everything will be scooped by by you, pretty much. And such things make me anything but even more bullish. I mean, from Robinhood to JP Morgan now and to others, still crushing meme stocks and saying that it's a fade, it's a transition. I mean, if it's a transition, why have you sold pretty much everything so far? I don't know. But if you ask me, pretty bullish, man.